Hello everyone, welcome to Glass Half Dead, and today I wanted to thank everyone for the kind of ridiculous and insane thing to my mind, which is me reaching 300 subscribers. Yeah, a huge thank you to everyone that clicked that subscribe button, everyone that comments on my videos. I genuinely enjoy talking to you. However, for me, the best way to give back to you is to show you all people that have been making content for longer than I have and do it much better. I've already recorded this video, so I'm just going to launch you straight into it. Hello everyone, Glass Half Dead here, and today I wanted to help you tie off that rope and start slapping the vein by telling you my preferred method of getting my Warhammer fix. Today, in the form of podcasts. I have a lot of listening time on my commute and some days at work, over lunch, etc. and just generally times when reading isn't going to fly. So this is my official top 16 Warhammer podcasts. If it's on this list, then I listen to it and enjoy the content for one reason or another. If you think I'm missing out on any real gems, drop them in a comment for me to check out. Do you have your own podcast? Consider this right here permission to link spam in my comments, and hopefully you can grab a few more listeners. Now, I've put a link to all of the podcasts I'm about to mention in the description below. So let's jump right into it with some Kill Team specific podcasts. Keep in mind with these next 3 picks that Kill Team itself has only just released. So I can't speak to long-term quality or consistency on any of these ones. First up is Squad Tactica, and I believe this was the first of the Kill Team podcasts, hence being the first on my list. Audio quality, solid, and he edits himself down pretty well. By which I mean, I don't hear him eating in front of the microphone or sniffing and coughing excessively. Maybe some ASMR people are into that, but I find it one of the most annoying things possible, hashtag first world problems. The host is relatively new to actually getting games in, but he's enthusiastic, well-spoken, and brings guests on to cover his lack of experience. The major negative here is that he doesn't release very often. I think he's doing it monthly, which honestly felt like a huge missed opportunity for him. I would have really liked to see a bumped up episode count, at least at the release of Kill Team, because there was just so much to cover. Also, with a monthly release schedule and only an hour-long episode, I hate to say it, but it's easily forgotten between releases, unfortunately. Still, it's new, and my biggest complaint is not enough content, so that's a positive thing. Second for the Kill Team podcast is Target Obscured. Similar to Squad Tactica, it's got a single host, but he manages to make it a weekly release, and honestly that alone brings it up in my rankings just because I like content. If you're like me, then the faster release schedule gives him, and the next podcast, that's coming up in a second, a big advantage over Squad Tactica because, I'll be honest, an hour-long podcast once a month is not enough content for me to get to know the host. I will stop banging on about that, sorry. Now, there's no judgment on content there, just consistency and frequency. However, there is one minor issue that I have with Target Obscured, and that is that he unironically refers to the Gellerpox infected as the Jellerpox infected. I'm bloody livid. No, sir. Okay, our third Kill Team podcast. It's called Chill Squad. Do you see what they did there? Because it's called, like, Kill Team, but a team can be a squad, and kill sounds like chill, so it's Chill Squad. Now, obviously they're brand new, but they're even more new than the other 2 podcasts. They've only released 2 episodes at the time of my recording. Again, sound quality is really good. The hosts, they seem to have some good banter between them, and they are planning on weekly releases, which is perfect. I will note that from their episode 0 release, I realised that I'm now officially what one might call old, as they were discussing when they got into 40k, and one of them was trying to place the time of their first purchase and asked, "What's that starter set with Space Marines and Orcs?" And the other 2 instantly reply with Assault on Black Reach. So naturally I began weeping for my lost youth, as I, like any sane person would, had thought of the 2nd edition starter box. Also, they're a bit of a lakeside crew, while I'm more of a blue water man myself, so There's a real north-south divide there. They manage a weekly release schedule, hopefully. However, their advantage so far is, and this is unique to them, they have multiple hosts. Thank God. Personal preference, of course, but I find that 2 or 3 hosts is ideal for a podcast. 4+ and I lose track of who's who if they have even remotely similar voices, but 2 or 3, pushing 4 is absolutely ideal for me. Only a single host is fine for news and general updates, but thinking on it, my favourite podcasts are all multiple host podcasts. I'm looking forward to listening to more Chill Team, but obviously can't speak to the quality of content just yet. But then, let's be honest guys, we're mainly listening to these things to immerse ourselves in a hobby we enjoy and want to see and hear others enjoying. And if we really cared about content over simple enjoyment, well, you wouldn't be watching this video. We all like to think we're part of a community. Something bigger. Greater good, if you will. Looking at 40k Prime podcasts now, the first up really has to be The Independent Characters. It's the largest 40k podcast, and for good reason. Because it's so big, I'm actually not going to say much about it, because if you're into this hobby enough to be watching my channel, then you already know about The Independent Characters. Good audio quality, good banter, interesting and unique topics, once a month posting. Next up, I'm clumping a bunch of them together. Here we go. Forge the Narrative, Preferred Enemies, The Long War, and Combat Phase. That's 4 of them. They all have multiple hosts, good audio quality, they cover hobby, the latest news, unit and codex reviews, list building and tournament coverage. Essentially the same stuff that every podcast that decides to release weekly has to cover to actually have any content. If you've got limited time for your podcasts, pick whoever has the nicest voice and stick with them, or do what I do and just get identical content 4 times in a row. To clarify, as that sounded a bit nasty, there are subtle differences between them. Some focus more on rules content, others are more fluffy and narrative, but the format is generally the same. Start with a hobby talk segment where they tell you how much painting or how many games they've played in the last week. Then they go over that week's releases. Then they branch off into their own flavour of content. I'm also going to put the next 2 together, and that is The Honest Wargamer and Ashes of the Imperium. They're basically the same as the last 4 podcasts, but they have British accents. Quick reminder here guys, I am honestly recommending all of the podcasts I'm listening in this video, so seriously, check all of them out and then down select based on your own preferences. I promise that some of the hosts will gel with you more than others, but there's no way for me to guide you on that. Which brings us on to the 40k Badcast, or as they say it, the 40k Badcast. Because they're American, obviously, I'm so sorry for that accent. I should edit that out. Anyway, I've got this one up next because it essentially covers the same topics as the previous ones just mentioned, but they're more focused on messing around and making jokes. It's a solid listen most of the time, and I definitely recommend it. Their unique twist, however, is that they have a segment where they read out terrible fan fiction they find from decades-old forums. Now, I've got to say, that used to be the main reason I listened to the show. It was bloody funny, to be honest with you. But lately, I've been more into the general banter between the hosts. Then we have Masters of the Forge. These guys do in-depth coverage about 40k lore, and when I say in-depth, I mean 3 hours about the different night houses, or 3 hours on the different Necron dynasties. They go hard. The Eye of Terror. This is 2 brothers, and each episode is discussing a battle report. For me, someone that doesn't play any Warhammer, because, let's be honest, who has 5 hours for a single damn game, playing vicariously through them is a great way of getting my 40k fix. Splinter Mind is a Drukhari-focused podcast. They still cover all the usual stuff, but they will always have a segment or at least discussion and definitely a focus on something Drukhari-based. Finally, we have Life After the Cover Save. Again, this is a very comedy-focused podcast. I mean, they occasionally mention a passing interest in Warhammer, but it's mainly the hosts admitting that they haven't done any hobby work the past month, didn't have time for any games, and then just kind of insulting each other for an hour. 1010 would violate my earholes again. And in the honourable mentions category, we have Claim the City. This is a Shadespire podcast now. If Shadespire is your thing, then this is your only choice. They could definitely stand to increase their frequency of releases, but when they do release, it's a solid podcast. Definitely check it out if Shadespire is your thing. And that's it, everyone. 17 podcasts that should keep you feeling like you're part of a community, even though you're all alone. Want to feel less alone in not just a hobby, but life in general? Then like, subscribe, and leave a comment. God, I'm terrible. Well, actually, no. You just need to leave a comment and I'll talk to you. The other stuff is nice, but only for the YouTube algorithm gods. Whatever. Anyway, I hope this has been interesting for you, everyone. Have a great day. Glass Half Dead, signing off.